every musical performance is both practice, and every practice is both a performance. That's an approach that I tried in the last couple of years. So the initial idea was as following. If I don't practice a musical instrument for a certain period of time, then my skill in this musical instrument, so maybe one could model out a skill development or a development of a skill that is at least to a certain extent learnable. So there may also be skills that are just, so there may be tasks that are just too complicated to eventually basically figure out optimizations. But now back to playing a music, it's quite predictable in a way. So the question is just how predictable is so if I have a model in my brain, okay, there is the model in my brain, and then there is also the skill, the actual skill, the processing power I have basically at every single moment. So now if I now take all of the practice sessions that are spread out, let's say over the next couple of weeks, and I take only out a few, then I have the following problem. If I have 100% of a skill, let's just say, okay, it's 100% of a sum of money to basically explain the compound interest effect more. One could also say it's a amplifying effect. So if I take 100, and I have initially 100, and over the course of 1 year I lose 50% of it, then at the end of the year I have 50. Now, in order to go to 100 again, I need 100% increase. And that's, I think, also, or this effect, this amplification effect, also to a certain extent at least, I think applies to musical skill. So if I now take out a couple of practice sessions only, then I take out potentially the practice sessions that bring me down to 50%. And so I would have to work way harder than ever before to get back to 100%, but of course I cannot really because the timelines now have split, and I'm always, in the rest of my life, this version of me that did not practice. So I asked myself the question, how can I practice but also not feel guilty about the practicing time, and also at the same time apply so much pressure to my practice that actually it would feel like a performance? Because what differentiates maybe, or at least historically in my view, a performance from a practice is the additional pressure. So if I have additional pressure on the stage, I played a couple of times on stage, not that much, but I then have this additional pressure, which I also maybe have to train. So basically training, no, not training, but playing under pressure is maybe also a skill I need to develop. So what if I could basically perform every time I practice? And so the initial idea was that I would practice and I would record my practice and put it on YouTube. Of course, now there is a certain other thing, which is, okay, I don't want people to think that I'm very terrible at playing the guitar, for example, or at singing. With singing, it's so much closer to real communication because I think it's closer to real communication compared to a musical instrument that transmits still maybe a story, still an emotion, but it's not me mouthing words. So what I did is I began recording, mostly with a loop station, and I began practicing at the same time as recording. So this is the principle I've now implemented, and every time currently, or almost every time, I perform at home, I exercise also at home, I practice also at home. And to a certain extent, I think the same applies also to sport.